Um aviso, tirem as crianças da sala.
Chama o comercial! Comercial!
O que vocês vão ver
Você tá bem, Jack?
é muito perturbador e chocante.
Vai lá, senhor meia-noite. E acabe com eles.
My first question is, I read that you believe in ghosts and spirits. Were you afraid of doing this movie? Because I believe it too, and I would be like so afraid of something keeps like haunting me after I shoot it.
It's a great question. I was raised with this very deep fear of evil spirits and the devil and demons, etc., etc., etc. So all that to say, I 100% believe that there are so many things that we in our human minds will never understand. We can't understand. And whether it's, different dimensional crossovers, if it's aliens, if it's the spirits and the echoes of people who've been on Earth before, if it's the shadows of the darkness that lives within people that sometimes sneaks out into the world. One of the things that's been really liberating for me in recent years was coming to this relationship with the spirit and God that is like not based in fear anymore. And like kind of like some of those ideas of my past that I used to really let like terrify me, I've let go of because I have embraced how much I love the artistry of making the kinds of movies I like to make and the metaphors that they represent. I think sometimes we as humans can get very confused between the power of like metaphor, mythology, lore, and reality. Like we think about our grandparents and how the witch in the woods was a real figure that was going to snatch you. Now, as a grown-up, I go, oh my gosh, the witch in the woods to me represents how easily I can go off by myself and get lost in the woods of my own depression, anxiety, isolation. So these things aren't not true. They're just metaphorically different. So to make a movie like this, to me, was less about Jack Delroy's interaction with, say, demons, as it was about his own mental health journey. And when you watch the film, you'll see a man who is pushed so far to the limits of exhaustion, alcoholism, workaholism. He lost the love of his life and he hasn't even dealt with that properly. What do we think that would do to the human mind? Would it be as devastating as possibly demons? I don't know. I think that's what makes a movie like The Shining so powerful, you know?
I kept thinking about the movie, and was it only on his mind? Was it the whole cult thing? Was it that? I have so many questions, but I don't think I need the answers. I like thinking about them. And Late Night with the Devil is one of the most awaited movies, horror movies of this year. How do you feel about it? I know that in the United States, it's already released and now it's coming to Brazil. How do you feel about it?
Every time I go to tell a story, I try to focus on the process and the experience of making it, because you just never know how people are going to respond to something. And if they're going to like it, they're going to hate it, they're going to watch it, they're going to ignore it. When we were making Late Night with the Devil, I was having one of the best experiences I've ever had making a movie. It was so fun. The brothers, Colin and Cameron, who directed and wrote it, were so wonderful to work with. And this was the kind of movie that I love. So the experience of making it was so good. And I would say to myself, if the audience likes this movie 1/10 as much as I enjoy making it, we're going to be okay. But I never thought it would have the reaction that it's had. It's a tiny movie. We barely had enough money to make the movie. We was a very small group of people. It's like a friends and family coming together to do this passion project. And then all of a sudden you're in thousands of cinemas around the world and people are sending me art from France and Germany and Portugal. And you're going, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful thing. I'm deeply grateful to the response we've gotten from fans.
I think that our fans, we are the most passionate fans of all the genres. So even more than superheroes.
I agree. I think the horror fans are a special community. I think a lot of us understand what it's like to be outsiders, but we also know and enjoy the thrill you get out of that scary experience and then feeling safe when it's over, and the community that grows around it. And it's becoming a more inclusive space. It used to be kind of like a bro tribe, the horror group, when I first got into horror. And it's awesome how many strong and powerful women, people from different, identities, backgrounds, races. It's like, it's this international kind of transcendent renaissance that we're living in right now. We're getting incredible horror films from all over the world. And I'm, as a fan, deeply grateful.
And my last question, I read that you came from a really religious family, conservative family, and then you need to ask your wife not to buy a Ouija board. I think that this is a very, very, very nice ways of dealing with this, your background. And I know that you talk a lot about your life and what happened, that you're really appreciated by Christopher Nolan putting you in Dark Knight. I just want to know how your personal life and your background with religious family changed your career now, and how do you see that it affects your career?
I find that my background, my childhood, the way I was raised, the really wonderful ideologies that I was taught, as well as what I think are some of the more problematic ideologies that I was taught, because it was such a conservative reality based in kind of like ancient dogma, where maybe there was different kind of prejudices against different types of, identities, etc., all kinds of complicated thoughts. So for me, when I tell a story, I like to look at my story, my childhood, and go, oh my God, my parents loved me so much. Oh my God, my parents terrified me so much. Oh my gosh, this idea of all of these big things were so enthralling and beautiful and scary to me. So multiple things can exist at one time. And when I tell a story, I think it's very boring if I go to tell a story and I'm going to be just the bad guy, just the scary guy, just the boring guy, just the angry guy, just the lonely guy. All of us are made up of all these different parts. And we really do ourselves a disservice when we look at ourselves as just one thing. So when I'm making the film and I'm telling a story, I want to bring all that beautiful complexity into it and know that it's not so simple as we want to believe sometimes. It's really a beautiful mess. And the mess is where all the magic happens.
Wow.